Good evening, good early morning actually for me, lads and lassies. How the flying fiddlers feck are y'all today? Oh man, it is good to be back online properly. For the time being, anyway. We'll see how long that lasts. Let's have a look here. What's going on here? Why can't you see this properly? Right, hold on now. So just to give you guys a brief rundown of everything. This stream is basically to test out the new studio. That's right, new studio. So basically, as you guys know, I was recently in the Demon Cave. That is not where I am right now, believe it or not. The Demon Cave is awesome, okay? It will always be the Demon Cave. However, it wasn't exactly fit for purpose, it turns out. It worked really, really well, actually. It was just a bit small in there, and I couldn't really do a lot of stuff. It's kind of awkward getting in and out of there. But most of all, the most difficult part of it was the fact that the internet out there was really, 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 really bad. So I have moved back into the main home. And yeah, so it's much, much better in here. It's warmer for a start. There's a radiator directly behind me now, which is awesome. And yeah, you know, like I'm 10 feet away from the fridge. My bedroom is right behind this wall here. Hold on, let me just figure out how to turn the lights up so you guys can see a bit better. That's like super bright. I'm getting a tan as we speak. So over here we've got the demon shelf with the demon skulls. And over there is a half-painted door, and the rest of this room is my sister-in-law's bedroom, which is now my office, kind of. She doesn't live here anymore. She's a doctor up in the beautiful city of Dublin. And so, yeah, she's graciously given her room to me to use as an interim demon cave. I am interiming. And I've been interimming for quite a while now. So yeah, it's great. It's really, really great. As I say, I'm right next to the bedroom, and it's awesome. It's really awesome. I have way more room for activities. I have, as I say, the fridge is right there. Mrs. Demon is right there to bring me food all the time. It's wonderful, or wunderbar, as the Germans would say. Now, a few things that may happen while I'm live streaming from this room. Actually, the most likely thing is that there might be a knock at the door, which would result in 2 screeching chihuahuas. The second most likely, or probably equally as likely thing, is that my mother-in-law will burst into the room saying something like, "John, want a cup of tea there now?" Something along those lines. So I'm going to have to put something on the door to indicate that I'm live or whatever. So, you know, but we'll cross that. You know, we'll cross that fridge when we come to it. Anyway, let's see who's here in the side chat. It is great to see so many people turning out. We got Charlie Welch. Good to see you, Charlie. Skits Crasher, good to see you. Facty, Frank Perry, my buddy, good to see you. Unlocked. Mr. Malort says Paddy. Well, what would be a stereotypical Chicago name? Let me know in the side chat. What's a stereotypical Chicago name? So Mr. Malort sent me some awesome motorcycle gear. It has arrived in the greatest country in the world, which is Ireland. But now I have to pay import duty on it for some reason. But anyway, you know, what can you do? So I think I already did that today. I've had a busy day. Busy day to say the least. So yeah, I've got to do that, and then I'm going to show you guys what came. One of the things that came is a bottle of Malort. I would be lying if I said I was excited about that, but I'm still going to do a live stream and drink some a little bit because I can't drink very much these days. Keith Newton, good to see you, and Ryan and Ants, and Brian99XT, one of the earliest viewers of this channel. It's great to see you, my friend. Keith Newton's in the house, says this is only a test. If it was real, it would be flat. You take that back. Mr. Lord says mom's basement. No, we live in Ireland. We don't have basements over here. It's too cold. It's too bloody cold to have a basement. And too wet as well. Unlock says just looks black. What does? The wall? Oh, the wall is kind of, yeah, it's like a dark grey. Inquisitor Bacon, good to see you, my friend. And JL Warren is in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Good to see you, JL. Emblem of Vigilance says a sock. Correct. Let's go with that. Frank Perry says hang a sock on the door. Oh, okay. Thank you for clarifying. For Emblem of Vigilance. I thought a sock on the door means that you were, trying to push a wheelbarrow up a hill, if you get my drift. But anyway, Brian, Emblem of Vigilance is Tyrone. Good to see you, Tyrone. Or is Tyrone or lives in Tyrone? But that's not, is that how you spell Tyrone? My brain is thinking in Irish straight away. Because we call it Tyrone, which is the land of Owen, kind of. Yeah, the country of Owen. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. JT Davis 62 says, Malort, Chicago's very own hangover maker. Malort, tonight is the night you fight your father. I probably still have paint on my hands and everything. I just painted this wall, by the way. Kind of a big deal. The Triggered Limey, good to see you, my friend. Absolutely love the rebrand. Absolutely love the logo. It is wicked, man. It's wicked. I gotta get you on here tomorrow. I'm upgrading my internet tomorrow. I'm getting a new internet receiver. I don't know what's it called. The internet box. I just call it the internet box. Like, as you can see, I'm good at tech stuff. Router? I don't know. Anyway, get a new internet thing. What makes my internet fast? So I'm really looking forward to getting some people on the stream for kind of more podcasty type stuff, chatting about. I don't know where to look because I've moved the camera. Everything's moved, so I'm just like. So anyway, I was saying, you know what I mean. So I'm not used to the new room yet. I literally just plugged everything in. I was like, I gotta test this out, baby. So anyway, let me see, where are we at here? Facty's in the house, says clean sock. Look, my mother-in-law is a different kind of machine altogether, so I'm not sure that will help. I would have to put a red flashing light that says live on it. Actually, that'd be pretty cool, to be fair. That'd be pretty fucking cool. We have got, who else have we got in the house? The Plot Hole, good to see you, my friend. And Elizabeth, good to see you too. Glober Mom is here. Clean socks, people have to touch the doorknob to open it. But you see, that might be where the good part about having a crusty old sock will come in. Because nobody wants to touch the doorknob if you got a crusty sock on there. That could be a good idea, actually. I might have to do that. Or electrify it. That could also work. Anyway, so I got some news today. Actually, I tell a lie. I got some news the other day from James. You guys will all know James Liddell. And he sent me some messages about Nathan Thompson. And I had every intention of doing a video, but life got in the way. Things have been nuts here, as you guys know. Like just tonight, we had to go visit my father-in-law. He's in hospital. He's in hospice care at the moment. So we had to go do that tonight. And, you know, that takes a toll on you physically and emotionally. I've been driving around and doing all sorts of stuff. So it's been super busy. But as I say, it is great to be back anyway. So that's the most important thing. It's not the most important thing. That's a silly thing to say, but you guys know what I mean. Anyway, so the other day, James sent me a screenshot of Nathan Thompson's Instagram, right? And It was him crying because it was his birthday and he couldn't grift money anymore. Basically, that's essentially what he was crying about. He was like, I had like the best Facebook group like ever, and it's my birthday. And basically, he cried, and I laughed, and that was the end of that. Basically, so I thought no more about it. I used a little clip of it in my video, and I was going to do another video and use that clip for a totally different reason. But anyway, in the meantime, in the interim, because I am interiming, James sent me on this screenshot. See if I can post it on the screen just to show you folks. That might actually make more sense. So I need to send it to my Mac. Yes, Mac. Okay, let's see if I can put this on the screen. I will. Oh yeah, I can. Awesome. All right, I'll just put it over the chat for now, and I'll have to read it from here because it's a bit small on the screen. But just for those of you who are watching back later who want to read it on the screen there. So Be the Change is a YouTube channel that Nathan Thompson and that guy that touches stuff in the shopping center share. Basically, it's their communal YouTube channel. Basically, I said basically a lot tonight. I'm pretty tired, so basically he's going to basically come out quite a bit more as this night goes on. Basically. So, Be the Change posted on the community tab, and I can only assume it was Nathan. Facebook group erased. YouTube erased. Instagram erased. Now, I thought to myself, you just saw his Instagram. And then I went back and checked, and yes, it is erased. So he continues, that's what you call a censorship. That's what you call a censorship hat trick. Enjoy your cartoon globes, fake space, big pharma venom, and dead animal flesh, guys. They really don't want me having an audience, guys. And then he posted the screenshot of your account is being disabled. Your account is being disabled. Follow the next steps within 30 days so you can request a review. And let's face it, reviews don't work. Allegedly. So I'm just going to take this off the screen. So, so he got nuked, right? Now, I don't know specifically for what he got nuked. I don't actually follow his Instagram. I was blocked on there the time that I tricked him and basically made him think that FTFE was an undercover agent, and it was hilarious. And it was in the early days of my YouTube career, and it's one of the things that actually made me blossom into the wonderful YouTuber that I am today. Because it gave me a good head start. Those guys, FTFE and Team Skeptic, gave me a massive boost after that happened, because it was hilarious. It was awesome. So anyway, so he got nuked. I don't know specifically what got him nuked, but I have seen some of the stuff that he's posted on his Instagram, over the past year or whatever. Sorry, my feet are all stuck in the cables here. And, a lot of it was like homophobic stuff, transphobic stuff, and obviously lots of conspiracy stuff, right? So that was, without a doubt, that was going to get him nuked. Then you have to ask yourself the question, and I want you guys to think about this too. And those of you watching this back later, leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. Right, let's just forget that it's Nathan Thompson for a moment, right? Because we all have our bias in everything. But specifically when it comes to somebody like him, it's easy to have that bias, right? So leaving that bias aside, do you think that it was fair for him to be nuked? Do you think there should be recourse? Do you think, are the days of sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, are those days completely gone? Should we still hold on to some of that? It's really tough. Now, my view on that is it depends on the type of rhetoric, right? Like if the rhetoric can directly lead to violence or propagate violence, then yeah, get rid of it. I'm okay with that. You know the terms of service when you sign up for something like Instagram or YouTube or whatever. And yes, those rules can sometimes be unfairly applied. We saw this with my channel. I got hit really hard when my channel was taken down that time. So we do know that, the rules can be tough. They can be a bit rough sometimes. But then you just have to look at the stuff he posts, right? Like, he used to post like anti-Semitic stuff. He used to post transphobic, homophobic stuff. And look, just like anybody else, we're all able to laugh at jokes that you probably wouldn't tell your friends, right? Don't get me wrong. I like naughty jokes sometimes, okay? Everybody does. We can all accept that, some jokes are just not funny, but they kind of are. Fair enough. But the kind of stuff that he was posting wasn't simple harmless jokes or what could be perceived as harmless jokes. These were some really nasty anti-Semitic stuff in particular. That was the stuff that really caught my attention. And he has had a track record of this kind of thing. He's done this so many times. Like, so many times. I just want to say a big hello to a great friend of the channel, Thor Rasmussen. Good to see you, my friend. And there was somebody else that commented something. The plot hole says, yes, anyone engaging in that type of behavior, violating terms of service, will get banned. Yeah, I agree. I suppose my biggest issue is just the misapplication of those rules sometimes. And look, when you have millions or billions of people using a platform, some people are going to fall, unfortunately, foul of the rules. I am one of those people, and many others too. But you got to kind of look at it as a whole. If those same rules are the rules that genuinely protect people or stop dangerous rhetoric from getting out there, then I'm kind of okay with that. At the same time, I believe in freedom of speech and all of that kind of stuff absolutely vehemently, and I would defend somebody and their right to freedom of speech. And you guys know how I feel about the whole private platform thing. But at the same time, if the way I look at it, right, the way I've always looked at this is, imagine you're in a bar. That's kind of the way that I would see Facebook. Imagine you're in a bar or a social club, or you're in wherever. Let's say you're in a social environment and you say something. You should treat what you would say on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or wherever it may be on social media the same way as you would treat it in those other environments, in those real life environments. If I went into my local pub and started making jokes or started saying genuinely hateful, horrible stuff about a certain group of people, I would probably get kicked out, or I would probably get my ass kicked. That's the reality of it, right? So don't say anything on social media that you wouldn't say to a group of people in real life. Things that you wouldn't say in polite company, basically. Now, you don't always have to be polite. Not every situation I've ever found myself in has been impolite, you can be sure. But there's a certain level, right? Like, if I went into my local shop here, right, my local store, and started spouting off some of the stuff that he says, which I can't even repeat on YouTube for obvious reasons. If I was to go in there and say that kind of stuff, I'd be put out on my ears straight away. I'd be kicked right the fluff out of there. And rightly so. You go stand on the street, have your free speech, say whatever the hell you want, but don't force everybody else to look at it. Basically, that's the way I see it. Anyway, Frank Perry, thank you so much for the first super chat since I got back on the air properly. Thank you so much, my friend. It says, I'm sorry if it's not something inciting violence or dangerous stuff. We all need to stop being so sensitive with every word that everyone says. I totally agree with you there. The reality of it is, the old adage of sticks and stones may break my bones, but words never hurt me. It does ring true in real life. You know what I mean? And that's the way I look at it, is like, if I'm walking down the street and somebody calls me a stupid, fat twat, I might go, fuck you, dude, and want to hit them, right? But you're an adult and you kind of go, whatever. He's just some loser on the street. I don't care what he thinks. And you walk on, you move on, and that's it, right? But I do think in the modern world, especially on social media, it's twofold, right? First and foremost, people are way more sensitive than they used to be, because in those people's defense, they are exposed to way more hateful stuff than they probably would have been pre social media days, right? So think about your normal day-to-day life before social media became a thing. how often did you hear, I don't know, racial jokes, or how often did you hear nasty comments or people mocking each other and abusing each other? Not very often. I don't know about where you grew up, but where I grew up, if I said some of the stuff to people in real life that I said on Facebook to people, I would have had my nose put inside out and coming out the back of my head by now. Because you just wouldn't say that stuff. I've had people say things to me online, and I've always tried to hold back from responding. And I've thought to myself, you and I both know that you would never say that to my face. And I'm not some big tough guy, he's some tough guy. But I can handle myself. This dweeboid that has said something to me on Facebook, if he was standing looking me in the eye, he would not say that. That goes for Nathan Thompson too. If he was standing there looking me in the eye, he wouldn't say that. And if people could have that standard in dealing with people on social media as they would in real life, I think the world would be a much better place. But it goes both ways, as I said. If you're so easily offended by the most simple shit, I've seen people get offended about the stupidest shit that I've ever seen. Don't go on the internet. The internet is full of horrible people, guys. The internet is full of assholes. Let's put it frank, right? Not Frank Perry. Frank Perry's not an asshole. Frank Perry's the opposite of an asshole. But anyway, the internet is full of dickheads. And if you're easily offended, you're going to get offended. It's the same as people who go to comedy shows and get offended. It's like you knew who you were going to see. Don't go if you're going to be offended. You know, you need to protect yourself. You can't expect everybody to change for you. Because the simple fact of the matter is, it's never going to happen. People aren't going to change everything just because you're offended. And that's just the reality of life. Like, take my group of friends, right? My group of friends here in Ireland, majority of whom are bikers, right? They're rough and ready kind of guys. Some of the jokes they say, if you put it on Facebook, you'd probably get banned for life, right? And that's the reality of it. It doesn't hurt anybody. They wouldn't go out and harm anybody. It's just a joke. But that's in a group of people who understand each other, who understand each other's boundaries, each other's limits, and we know how far we can push each other. But when you're in a group of people, i.e. online, that you don't know the harm that language could do to somebody else. So I think there's a bit of both on here, right? So I think people need to take responsibility for themselves. And if you're easily offended, avoid that stuff. And then also people could take a bit more responsibility in how they speak around people. It's as simple as that. Like, you know, I saw a lady the other day get offended at a joke that I put up on the Facebook on some group. I don't know what group it was. And I was like, come on, man. To quote Joe Biden, come on, man. And I was thinking to myself, is she joking? Like, is she taking a piss here? Like, is she genuinely upset that I made that joke? So I messaged her and I was like, hey, I saw your big long essay that you wrote. And like my instinct is to be like, get over yourself. But then I was like, hold on, this obviously is genuinely upsetting this lady. And I don't like the idea of upsetting anybody intentionally. So I was like, hey, look, I didn't realize it would insult you or upset you. Can you tell me what it was that I said that upset you or whatever? And what it was, I'll tell you the joke. Basically, we were talking about indigestion. Oh my God. So I don't know how it came up, but somebody mentioned heartburn and asked, was heartburn and indigestion the same thing? And me being me, I said, here's a funny dad joke about indigestion. And I was like, my friend Gavin once had indigestion. So he took, what's it called? God damn. You know those chalky tablet things that you take for indigestion? Like heartburn, Rennies, or do you know the heartburn things? Anyway. And I don't know about where you are in the world, but over here we have a brand called Gaviscon. But basically I said, he took too many of them and it made him die. And now Gaviscon. Simple joke. Kind of funny. Kind of like, a bit cringe. This chick got so mad. Like, I'm talking big mad. And she was like saying, she left this big fucking TLDR essay. Dude, I've got ADHD. I can't sit reading that shit. I just picked out the bits could tell she was pissed off. So I messaged her, and then she said like some other stuff, and I was like, yeah, whatever, okay. I literally have not got enough time to waste my time on you. But yeah, anyway, that was a very long roundabout way of saying people just need to get over themselves a little bit. I get it. You're easily offended. Then go somewhere else. You know what I mean? It's just as simple as that. But I do think people need to take responsibility from both sides here. Anyway, as for Nathan Thompson, though, I mean, when you're just spreading hateful, racist shit, it's awful, man. And like, I'm one of these people. It's like, people say everything is racist now, or everything is this, or everything. Oh, fuck off. Look, here's the thing, right? People are very sensitive at the moment on right across the board. It doesn't matter what the topic is. Harley versus Indian. That's even people are sensitive over that, and people get genuinely offended by that stuff. So it's like, you're going to run into this. But what I realized over the past, say, 3 months since I've been home, I have not been online much. Most of my interactions have been face-to-face human interaction. People aren't like this in real life. The internet it's nothing. When I'm out on the street, people are based, people are honest, and they're direct. And people seem to be more willing to accept when they're wrong. And when I say based, I don't mean like annoying internet based, like, these like, oh, so based, bro. Not that kind of based. Genuine based. Willing to have a conversation, willing to accept that they may be wrong on something, but also willing to fight their corner without resorting to cancelling each other or shouting at each other or laugh reacting at each other. Because if you do that in real life, you get pinged. That's the reality. And I think there's a lot of people have gotten in trouble over this shit over the years, I think, since social media started to really catch on, because people are saying shit in real life that they would never have said in real life before, thinking that it's like the internet where you can just block somebody. You want to be kung fu blocking people in real life. Totally different world. Anyway, Thor Rasmussen, a member for 11 months, a member of the Demon Dogs. Thank you so much. Says almost 1 year being a Demon Dog and loving it. Thank you so much, my friend. That's the other thing about my memberships. So I'm a member of a whole load of channels, and I got a message today from YouTube saying, we're sorry to see you go. And I'm like, don't lay that shit on me now, YouTube. What's going on here? So the problem is, I set up my YouTube channel in Ireland years ago, and I set up my PayPal in Australia. So in Ireland, I can't use my Australian PayPal to pay my YouTube memberships, basically. So what I have to do once a month to keep my YouTube Premium, I have to use a VPN to make my computer think I'm in Australia, pay my thing, and then go back on. So I need to go in and renew all of my memberships again. It's an absolute ball ache. So I probably owe loads of people money. The Plottle says, the bar has the right to boot you too. Exactly. Sorry, I should have come back to that. To quote Jen Psaki, we'll circle back to that. So that actually was to further my point. If you go into a bar and you start spouting shit off, right? The barman can take offense to it. The security guy can take offense to it and go, you out, sling your hook, job done. And that's exactly the point that I'm trying to make, right? So yes, I do have issues with the whole private platform thing, but it's very hard to take a direct position on it, because in some respects I'm like, okay, yes, there should be protections in place. Banning should happen if things get out of control. But then there's the whole public square argument, which is that, everybody argues you can stand out in the public square and say whatever you like. Well, in some places you can't. Like in Melbourne, for example, in Australia, you can't, because everything's closed down. But no, that's a silly thing. But the point I'm trying to make is that YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, etc. has become the public square. Like in London, you have Speaker's Corner, right, where you go out and you hoy hoy, etc. Those days are gone. The internet is the public sphere. At least that's what I thought, until, as I say, I took a long time off social media, just posting the odd pictures but not really interacting very much. And I started to talk to real people again, and came to realize very quickly, social media, as powerful as it can be, it's not everything. And you can still have real life conversations that don't involve a screen. And it's way, way better. Like myself and my sister in law, we argue not argue, but we have like good debates about matters relating to the current crisis and other things. We have fantastic conversations, real life, face to face, challenge each other's arguments without descending into a shouting match or it becoming a political thing. Politically, myself and her are actually pretty much the same anyway. I think we're pretty much in the same boat. Um, and so yeah, we it never would descend to that anyway. But even friends of mine who would be way further to the left of me, pretty far left friends of mine, I can have deep, meaningful conversations with them. We could disagree on certain things, but it's all good. We still just, go out and have a smoke and a cup of tea, and it's great. And then talk about Harleys or talk about whatever, you know what I mean? And then I have friends who'd be more to the right of me, like especially some of my friends from when I was younger who are a bit more kind of religious, a bit more conservative, not far right at all, but like kind of more Christian conservative y, who would have certain views on, gay marriage, abortion, all those kind of things that I would definitely disagree with. And in fact, I would strongly disagree with. But again, we can have those conversations openly and calmly because you're face to face, you're drinking a cup of tea, it's your friend. You're friends for a million different reasons, but maybe not those specific things that you might disagree on. And you try to change each other's minds, it's never gonna happen. Somebody who has stood firm on a specific type of belief, basically. But I've had friends, agree that I'm right and they're wrong and change their view. And I've done the same, where I've gone, okay, I think I was actually wrong on that whole thing. And, you learn, you develop, and all that kind of stuff. Things change. Frank says, easier to have courage behind a keyboard. Absolutely. Let me introduce you to the carton arc. I have actually seen the carton arc, and I love the carton arc. Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am. I love that guy so much, man. SBLM, good to see you, my friend. Now, Mr. Malort for $4.99 United States of American dollars says, oh my god. What? Oh my Lanta. Which is actually one of those things, one of those tablets. Anyway. Ixnay on Uzbay in Ailme, it's hot sauce. Whatever you've been taking, I want some. It's Ixnay on Uzbay in Ailme, it's hot sauce. Come again? I don't know what that is. Charlie Welch says, BitChute, where brains go to die. So I had a load of people get on to me about going on BitChute. And I didn't know what it was. I'd heard of it, but I hadn't taken it seriously. I thought it was just like one of those knockoff YouTubes. And then I had a friend who used to be very kind of like one of these kind of like own the libs types, like anti SJW, yada yada yada. One of those, old school internet shitlords, basically. Not 4chan quite, but you know the type. You know this fucking. You know the guy. And he was, oh bro, you gotta get on BitChute. There's no censorship, yada yada yada. And now I'm not quick to call things racist or whatever, especially if they're a joke. But holy shit, the amount of racism in the comment section of those videos, man. And not actually so much racism. There is a lot of it, but the main thing was anti-Semitism. I still don't get that. I still don't understand it. Like, I understand racism. I understand why people are racist. I still don't understand anti-Semitism. Well, obviously I understand it. I know what it is, and I know a lot of the reasons why it happens. But to the extent that it happens, I'm like, maybe is it because I'm from Ireland where we don't really have any of that kind of stuff? It could be. I don't know. But you could barely even talk about this stuff online. But yeah, he was going on about BitChute, and I was like, okay, I'll check it out. I was like, I'm not fucking watching this shit. There's just too much, man. Like, I can take a joke, and I can take dark as fuck jokes. I have no problem admitting that. Now, I've heard jokes from mainstream comedians that I've been like, ooh, that is too far, even for me. And I would consider myself well able. I've got thick skin, man. But like, there's been certain jokes where I've just been like, ooh, like where kind of like, oh, you guys know what I'm talking about. You know, when you just feel it in your body, it's like, ooh, I didn't like that. And that's, again, to me, it's like, you know, I've heard some bad jokes that I've laughed at and actually felt kind of guilty for laughing afterwards. Um, but yeah, some comedians like Frankie Boyle, right? Frankie Boyle is a Scottish comedian. He's really funny. Well, he wouldn't be to my taste personally, but he is funny. And but some of his jokes, man, I'm like, ooh, wouldn't be for me. Oh, excuse me, wouldn't be for me. But anyway, that's besides the point. That was just a bit of a rant. But as I say, right. So I think across the board, right. Let's just recap. I think people are too sensitive. Now, there's a caveat to that though. The reason I think people are too sensitive is because of the sheer exposure to the amount of abuse that can be gotten online. All you have to do is go into a comment section of something that might be mildly controversial and make a comment. And you're going to get nailed, man. And the funny thing is, I don't know if it's a funny thing or a sad thing. Let's just, for example, right? You go on a more, let's say, I'm going to use the political side of things because that seems to be what it's all about right now. And I'm just like, I like politics and I'm very interested by it. And it's really interesting to see how politics are morphing in America right now. Because America is kind of the benchmark in politics. Like Ireland is a very unusual country. We're kind of we're the real based, where people are kind of more, and the UK is quite based too, in the way that like we're very reasonable in our political views. Not all of us. Some of us are nuts. Don't get me wrong, but for the most part, we're quite reasonable. We're somewhere in the middle. We, overwhelmingly voted for same-sex marriage, for the abortion laws, etc. But there are a lot of people that were against that, man. But the vast majority were for it because the attitude of Irish people, if you know any Irish people in real life, you'll know what we're like. And for the most part, we're kind of like, well, that doesn't affect me. This issue, whatever it may be that we're voting on, it doesn't have any real impact on my life other than my ability to make somebody else's life easier. If my neighbor knocks at my door and says, I want to put up a big fence, and the fence isn't blocking out the sun for me, it's not dangerous, then put up the fence. I don't care. I'll help you put the fence up. Do you see what I mean? That's kind of what it's like in Ireland across the board. We're just like, yeah, whatever, man. It's not for me, but if it's for you, I support that. That's kind of our attitude for the most part. But some people aren't. So, there's always. But anyway, I don't know how the fuck I got onto this. Where was I going with this? I was talking about politics. Oh yeah, Facebook. See, ADHD, man. Ooh, squirrel. Anyway, you go on to, let's say, a more left-leaning Facebook group. Let's say groups are particularly vicious, actually. But you go on to, let's say, a more left-leaning Facebook group, right? You go in there and you say something about, I don't know, you say something like, hey, everybody, how would you put it now? Let's say you're being perfectly reasonable, okay? You go into this group, you say, hey, everybody, I hope you're all well. I've really enjoyed interacting with you all. I support Donald Trump, but I think you have the right to support whoever you want. You will get fucking nailed, man. They will call you horrible shit. But then on the same side, you go over to a more kind of right-wing group or like a Fox News comment section, and you say, you know what? I think Joe Biden's actually doing a pretty good job and I voted for him. You'll get eaten alive in there too. So the point about that is that it's like going into the den of lions. You know what I mean? You by being on social media sometimes you are opening yourself up to this stuff, and I found myself, and I'm hyper aware of the effects of social media, and I find myself all the time getting dragged into these stupid arguments that meant everything in the world at that moment, but 10 minutes later I could not tell you what the argument was about. And if I met that person on the street and they argued with me, I'd be like, okay, whatever, I got shit to do, see ya. You know what I mean? So I think we all need to take a bit more responsibility on how we allow social media to affect us, and how our our social media use affects others, how we treat others. It goes back to what JL says. I can't remember the specific wording, but I will paraphrase. Just be lovely to each other, be beautiful to each other, be kind to each other, and try to do that as much as you can, man. Guys, let me tell you a sad story, right? Because this might just put a bit of perspective on life for people who are, maybe addicted to social media or whatever the case may be. I was riding through this city the other day and I saw a little shop that I used to love going into when I was a kid. And it has loads of nice sewing things in there and arts and crafts stuff. So I figured I'd jump in there and get some nice things for my mother in law because she loves sewing. So I was like, let's go in, get her some nice sewing things, cheer her up for the day. So I went in, and right next door, there's a beautiful coffee shop called Cork Coffee Roasters. I parked the bike outside there, had a smoke and a cup of coffee. It was lovely. I was so relaxed. It was one of the better days I've had since I've come home. And I literally was 10 minutes away in the city. It was wonderful. As I was sitting there, this young homeless guy came up to me and said, would you have a fag, please? Which in Ireland is a cigarette. And I said, yeah, of course, man. And I gave him a couple of cigarettes and he was walking away. And I was like, hold on a sec. I was like, come here a sec. And he was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like, I know you from somewhere, but I can't put my finger on it. I was like, whereabouts are you from? And he said where he was from. And that didn't ring a bell straight away. And I was like, did you go to school in the school I went to as a young child? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, told him who I was. And I was like, I was in your class in primary school. And then he recognized me straight away and we got talking. So it turns out he'd been on the streets for about 3 years. And he had a really tough childhood, this kid. And, he ended up on drugs and blah, 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 blah. And I had just been complaining that morning that I didn't have enough time to do my YouTube channel and work on my career, online and all the rest of it. And I was sitting there while he was talking to me, while he was telling me about his story, and I'm thinking to myself, holy shit, like, I'm complaining about small things that I have complete control over if I want to. And here's this guy that I know who was my friend as a child, who's homeless. I just rode in here on a brand new Harley, not brand new to me, a nice Harley, getting a €4 cup of coffee, which is fucking nuts, by the way. It's way cheaper in Australia, and I'm just like, I'm complaining about this stupid shit, and here's this guy who went to the same school as me, had similar opportunities to me, and he's got nothing, nothing. And it just broke my heart, man. I was like, holy shit, this guy, like, this, it was awful. But anyway, so I he mentioned that he was struggling to get into a hostel or whatever. So and this isn't like trying to big myself up or anything, not at all. I gave him every bit of cash I had in my wallet. It was like, I don't know, maybe $100, so close to $100. And he promised me that he would get into a hostel and all the rest of it. And he did text me yesterday, and the $100 or whatever I gave him managed to get him, like a week and a half in a hostel and some food and things like that. So, I felt a little bit better about it, but then I was thinking, there's surely more that I can do. I have my problems. We all have our problems, right? you look at the perspective that I see it from and my life at the moment, the things that our family are going through right now is horrible, right? Let's just be, let's be frank, right? My family's going through a horrible, horrible time right now. My father-in-law's situation, being in hospice care and all that stuff. It's awful. It's fucking terrible. Bringing my mother-in-law up to see her husband in that condition, and it's awful. It's awful. Um, you know, I won't get too much into the specifics of it, but we had to make a lot of changes this week, about what we could or couldn't do, and it's hard to explain. I don't really want to get into it here, but just to give you an idea, um, of what we're going through. And then it hit me this morning. I was literally out polishing the bike, and it hit me. I'm like, yeah, what I'm going through is tough. I'm the one that's going through the least out of this whole family. Mrs. Demon and her mom and her sister have to sit there and watch, my father-in-law come towards the end in not the nicest of circumstances. I got to be frank. It's extremely expensive. And that worries them. It worries me, but it worries them a lot more actually, which is the hardest part for me. So I try to do as much as I can to take the pressure off them, and to, give them a laugh. That's what I love to do. That's what I do best, basically. And I was sitting there and I was polishing the bike and I was thinking, yes, I have all these issues. We all do. But there's nothing stopping me right this minute from jumping on the bike, going to the store, and filling a bag with just cheap but nice things from, the supermarket. Food, deodorant, that kind of thing. Bringing it into the city and going around and handing it out to homeless people, right? And I'm thinking, I could do that right now. And then something came up with my father-in-law and I couldn't do it right then. So I'm thinking I'm going to do it, and I'd love to get you folks involved at some point if you would like to. Where I go around on the bike, because it is feckin' cold here at the moment, like really cold here at the moment. This is the coldest weather I've experienced in half a century, half a decade. So I can only imagine what people who are living on the street feel. So maybe that's something we can all do together as a community. There's 60 of you watching right now. For just for example, 60 of you watching right now. If we all put in $1 each, €1, sorry, I keep forgetting I'm living in Ireland now. If we all put in €1 each, one euro, right? Let's say $1 for simplicity. If we all put in $1 each, that could buy some socks, some gloves, maybe some food, some cigarettes too, man. I've no problem putting cigarettes in a care package for homeless dudes, because that's the number one thing I'm asked for on the street is cigarettes. Give people what they want, you know what I'm saying? And like, if we all chipped in $1 each, we could potentially give somebody just that boost that they need for that. Just sometimes that's all you need. Just that one moment is all it takes for some people. I've been there. And it's just that one moment of kindness. 9 out of 10 of the people you give something to might appreciate it there and then, but not really care or have other things on their mind. But it's that one person that you reach that goes, God, people are still kind. You know what I mean? I'd love to do it. But my worry is, and I'd like to film it. I obviously not film the individuals. I don't think that's appropriate unless they want to, unless they would like to. I'll give them that option if they want to be, and they can check themselves out on YouTube and blah blah blah. But I understand for some people I wouldn't really be comfortable. But I'd love to film it, not to. And this is the thing. This is where my concern is. I don't want it to come across as, those Instagram chicks that are like, oh, here's me giving blah 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 blah, and it's just for attention. It's just thirst. It's pure thirst. And here's the kind of difficulty with it. I want to film it because I want people to see that there is still so much good in humanity, and that this is the good side of social media. We've done it a few times, and yes, we have been taken for granted too. Most of you watching right now, you all know what I'm talking about when it comes to whip arounds for people. We've all been taken advantage of. And then you have people like Johnny O and others who did stellar work on covering it and blown the fucking lid off it. And that changed a lot of things, and that's good. That's it's awesome actually. It's incredible. But I guess what I'm saying is that if you film something like that, right? And it just takes one person to see that on the internet and go, I'm going to do that too. And again, look, this isn't me patting myself on the back or trying to get anybody's admiration or anything. This is me telling you what I do so that you understand where I'm coming from and why I want to do things like this and why I feel strongly about it. I always, always try to give something to somebody when I leave the house as often as I can. If I go to the city, there's an abundance of opportunities. If I'm going into a store, which I usually am, I might just go in to get a Coke or whatever while I'm walking around the city, or I might get in to get a coffee. There's always maybe a homeless guy around or something, and I'd be like, "Hey man, you want a coffee?" Because it's a couple of bucks. Do you know what I mean? It's I don't have a lot of money anymore. It's a game home. I definitely don't. But compared to what somebody else has, it's like a whole different life. And again, this is why I'm saying it openly, that it's not me patting myself on the back, but it makes me feel good. But I also recognize what it feels like to be helped out in those times. I've had it from you folks, and I've had it from times where I've been in really bad times, like really, like we were only just talking about this today. There was times where myself and Mrs. Demon, once we got our payment once a week from our jobs, which was really low, paid our rent, paid our bills, that we had $20 between the two of us for the whole week. And too proud to ask for help from parents or whatever, who would have given it to us in a heartbeat if we needed it. But we were too proud to ask for anything, and we got through it. We worked together. But it was people reaching out and helping us over those years that got us to where we are. And that's what makes all the difference. And so that's why I want to film it. Because I don't know about you, but if you've ever seen videos on YouTube or whatever where people are, going, okay, I'm going to go hand out this stuff to homeless people, you see those videos and you kind of go, shit, I can do that. You know what I mean? Not film it, but I can do that. I can give something to somebody. I got loads of shit that I can give to somebody. You know what I mean? I buy stupid shit all the time. Why not use some of that stupid shit money to get people stuff that they actually need? I'll give you another example. And again, just to clarify, this is not me patting myself in the back. This is purely just what happened. And if it inspires somebody to do the same or whatever, then that's a good thing. So the other day, I was out riding and I was down in a place called Watergrass Hill. And it's halfway between where I live and where my parents live. And it's where I always stop for a coffee on the way riding down to my parents' place. I love stopping for coffee when I'm on the bike. Have a smoke, have a coffee. It's great. It's a huge part of it for me. I always say the definition of motorcycling is driving 200 miles for a cup of coffee. But anyway, I pulled in and it was about lunchtime and it was really busy in there and I had my coffee in my hand. And the guy in front of me looked like maybe a truck driver or a delivery guy or something like that anyway, a working man. And he was standing there and he had a sandwich, a bottle of a drink of some description, and something else, a chocolate bar or whatever. And he was like, oh my God, he was like, I don't have my wallet. And she was like, oh, I've got, he was like, I don't have it in the car, but I've got some coins. I'll just take the drink. And I was like, nah, I'll get it for you, man. And he was like, oh, if you give me your number, I'll pay back. I was like, no, it's fine. It's fine. I was like, just pass it on. And I didn't even think about it, but like his stuff cost like 3 times what I was buying for myself. But it, I've had situations. One I remember vividly. I was in Starbucks, and I had an American Express card. Don't ask. And they didn't accept American Express, and I was really embarrassed with my 2 sandwiches there and no way of paying for it. And the lady behind me bought both my sandwiches. She was there for a cookie, and she bought both my sandwiches, and she was like, I'll just pass it on. And that's what I remembered in that moment. I was like, I remember that lady. So, if we can push ourselves sometimes to help others, to help ourselves as well. Because, if you don't help yourself, you can't help other people. I met a really awesome guy in the city yesterday. We were just talking bikes. I was parked in the motorbike bay. He pulled in. We were chatting, and he made a really good point. We got into this long, like 2 hour deep discussion. It was awesome. And he made this really awesome comment, which was like, and he's open about this. He went to Alcoholics Anonymous. And one thing he learned there was when they said to him, if you're on an airplane and you've got your 2 kids sitting with you and the cabin depressurizes and the masks drop down, who do you help first? And he said, well, my kids, of course. And he said, yeah, but if you don't have your mask on, you run out of oxygen, you can't help your kids. So sometimes you have to help yourself first to be able to help others. And that's a huge part of all this thing that I'm trying to achieve. So if we can all work together, we can do really well. Like, again, there's 70 people watching right now, right? If every one of you watching right this minute does one random act of kindness tomorrow, right? That you might never have done before watching this video. Think about that. If every one of you right now, tomorrow, was to do something nice for one random person, doesn't have to be a homeless guy, doesn't have to involve money, it doesn't have to involve giving anything. It could just be something as simple as a compliment. It could be something as simple as a smile, just making somebody feel good. That's all it is. You might feel like shit. You might be going through really tough times right now. And I know some of you here tonight whose names I've seen come up, I know you guys are going through tough times. I am too. We all have stuff, right? But does that stop you from being able to help somebody else or to be able to try to make somebody else's life easier? So anyway, 70 of you watching right now, myself included, if each one of us tomorrow, let's make a pact, right? I want to hear if you're in the side chat. You let me know, say I'm in if you're in on this. And anybody watching this back later, there'll be about 300 or 400 of you, 69 people watching right now. Nice. But anyway, let's say of all the people that watch this video, there's 300 people roughly will watch this video. And if each one of you do one random act of kindness, that's 300 people's lives that could be impacted. You have no idea what the smallest thing can do for somebody. If somebody just gives me a nice comment on YouTube, I get beautiful Facebook messages from friends all the time. One friend in particular, you know who you are, always sends me lovely messages. The support that I've had from people like JL and Johnny O and others, loads of you. There's moments, I'll be honest with you, there's moments where I've been crying over something because, stress and all sorts of things, that there's one person in the side chat that I was immediately able to ring. I was able to call him and he was able to help me. So that's what I'm saying. If each of you watching this now and anybody watching this back later does just one thing tomorrow, that could be 300 people whose lives could essentially be affected in a positive way. Even if it's just for that moment. Even if it's just that little boost that gives somebody a smile. Anyway, so that's all I'm saying. It's awesome. It's awesome. And that's why I love the end of JL's videos. Because I smile every single time he says it. Because I'm like, he got that right, man. That's spot on. Jaybird Max, thank you so much for $4.99 US says, here's my dollar, bro. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I will put it to good use. Steve6464, thank you so much, my friend, for $5 US says, here's my dollar also. Thank you very, very much. Yeah, I think we should do this video, guys, as a group though, not just me. Actually, I have an idea. I'll run it by you guys in a second and let's see what you think. Thor Rasmussen, thank you so much for 50 dicks. It says, here's my act of kindness, spend it well. Thank you so much. I know exactly what I'm going to spend that 50 dicks on. I don't know what that is in euro, but anyway, I might be a bit ambitious. I know exactly what I'm going to spend that on tomorrow morning. I'm going to take my mother-in-law for a nice coffee at the lovely coffee shop down the street. Thank you so much. She'll be delighted with that. So Katie Hayes says it's true. Even the smallest act of kindness can give you so much of a major boost. Like a guy I worked with wanted a hug this morning. It was that simple, and that's it. You really hit the nail on the head there, Katie. It is that simple. And that's what I'm saying. You don't have to have a lot. You don't have to be in a good place yourself, even sometimes, to be able to just go, right, I can help this person. You know what I'm saying? You could be having the shittiest day or going through a tough time physically or financially or whatever. There's an abundance of ways that life can be an arsehole. And like, even in those tough times, you can turn around and help somebody. It makes you feel so much better, man. I know it does for me. And it's not about making yourself feel better. That's just a lucky side effect of it, I think. And some of you folks out there probably don't know how much of a smile I get from reading some of your comments sometimes. For example, Tim O'Lynch saying, "Hey, you bollocks, how are you?" I'm good. I feel really good. I'm excited. I'm happy to be back on here. I'm happy to have my great friends to chat to. I still can't wait to go for a beer with you. I was in the city yesterday and I could not find your phone number because I couldn't get on Discord. I don't know. I don't know, Timo, if you're added to me on Facebook. I think I sent you my number, or did I not? If I didn't send you my number, if you can't text me, email me irishdemonvids@gmail.com. I'll be around the city much more. I don't know if you knew, but my father-in-law is currently in a hospital, in a hospice. And so I guess I have a little bit more time on my hands during the day, but oh man, I can't wait to meet up and go for coffee or a beer. But anyway, so that's kind of where I'm coming from with this whole thing. So I'm down to do this if you guys are. But this idea I just had, a brainwave. We could do a montage of videos of each of us, whoever wants to be involved. It doesn't matter if you've never been on video before or if you're super shy. If you're down for it, whoever you may be, videotape, Jesus Christ, what is this, Victorian times? Make a video of yourself doing a random act of kindness. Could be anything. Make your mom a cup of tea, or give a homeless guy a fiver. Whatever it may be, and send them in to me, irishdemonvids@gmail.com. We can do a montage of all these random acts of kindness. And again, it's not to pat ourselves on the back or anything like that, but to try to spread that positivity. This might sound a bit self-helpy and a bit cliche, but it is true. Positivity, it's got a wave effect. You know what I mean? Like when I see somebody do something nice for somebody else and I'm wrapped up in my own world and I'm not kind of like being mindful of everybody around me, and then I see somebody do something nice for somebody else, it kind of makes me think, oh, I should do something nice for somebody. And I'm looking for nice things to do for people. So if we can make a montage of not just me doing it, but all of you guys doing it too, send them in. We'll bunch it all together. We'll put a video up on here and maybe spread a bit of positivity. You never know. I was out the other night on the bike. That's a common theme. I've been out every day on the bike over the past month because there was frost on the ground this morning, so the freezing weather's coming in and the bike's going to be parked up for a while. So I got to make the most of it now. But I was right, actually, funnily enough, I was in the same place, Watergrass Hill, my usual coffee spot, Censored in Watergrass Hill. And there was a bunch of kids across the street with the mom. And if you've ever ridden a loud motorcycle like a Harley, for example, you'll notice that kids, when they see the bike, the eyes go like that. They love motorcycles. And, the mom and the kids were waving over, like getting the kids to wave. And I was waving back and I thought, it'll be cool. Something I always do for the kids that live up the street here. I rode over to them and I let them rev the bike. And man, it made their day, and the mom filmed it. I've been trying to see if I can find the film on the video on YouTube or on Facebook or whatever, but I haven't been able to find it. But I was hoping I'd be able to find it. But yeah, and it makes a huge amount of difference. But those kids had a ball, and they probably went into school or went home to the rest of the family like, you'll never guess what happened. This guy let me rev his motorbike. I would have loved that when I was a kid. So, this little things like that we can all do. And we should film it and put together a montage and just have some fun. Do a live stream while watching it together, all of us. And, it'd be really good fun. Jakob, is it Jakob or is it Jacob? I'm guessing it's Jakob Svenka. Let me know if I'm right on that one. Thank you so much for $5 says, I've never thought about a random act of kindness I do. Just like here you go, and never think twice. It's just me. All hail our demon lord of kindness. You got that right. Thank you so much. I try to make a habit of it. And it's not so much forcing myself to be kind, because that sounds like a bit counterproductive in some respects. It's forcing myself to remember who I am, and that is who I am. I like being kind to people. I like being nice to people, making people laugh, making people smile, and taking a bit of pressure off people sometimes, I think helps, makes a huge difference. Mr. Unite for the Children, good to see you. My friend says, lol, a few years back, I rode over a small bridge. There were 2 or 3 kids waiting in the stream who yelled, cool bike at me as I went by. Great little moment. And it really is, like having... kids love motorbikes for some reason. And it's good. It's good to be able to just like what I get a lot here is the younger kids, they just like to wave and be waved back to when they see you ride past on the bike, like after school gets out or whatever. The older kids, like, teenagers to kind of like, mid-teens, like 15, 16, when they see it, they always go like that to get you to rev, and I'd always give it a little, and they love it, man. And it gives people a boost, and it just, the kids love it. They get a good kick out of it. The plot hole, thank you so much for being a member for 10 months, says, well. I don't have much to say. Shit. Hey, plot hole. Did you like my Texas accent the other day? I think I nailed it. I dubbed a video of a lady throwing soup in another lady's face. Throwing soup sounds like a dirty euphemism. My mother-in-law would definitely laugh if I used that term. But anyway, and I dubbed the video impeccably. You could not even tell it was me. Despite them both having the same voice, you could not tell it was me. Spreading joy is addictive. I agree 100%. Jaybird, thank you so much, my friend. You have a good one, and all hail Sagan. Anyway, lads and lassies, I've been on here for just over an hour. I have to go to bed. It's 2 a.m. here, and I've got to go pick up my aunt from the airport tomorrow. She's flying in to come spend some time with my mom and dad. As you guys may or may not know, I don't know if I actually told you guys what happened. I'll tell you this story and then I'll go away. So my mom and dad both got the coof, and they were both really, really, really sick. And so my mom ended up getting pericarditis or myocarditis, one of the carditises, which is the inflammation of the heart that's very, very common after COVID, usually for kids though. But my mom got it, so she's not on bed rest or anything. She just has to take it easy. She can't go to work. She can't, get herself in stressful situations. And that's exactly what happened. She got scammed. My mom was all over the news here in Ireland, literally on the 9 o'clock news. They wiped out her bank account. And thankfully, the police got it back really quickly, and the bank worked really hard to get it back. So it was good to see that, but took a huge toll on her, physically and emotionally. She was ringing me every day, crying. It was really, really, really tough. It was really, really tough. Um, Katie says, "Yep, 2 a.m. approaching here too. Sleep well, and I hope to pick up tomorrow goes well." Um, Wait, that sounds wrong. It does, but I'm okay with that. Thank you so much, Katie. And yeah, hopefully catch you in the next live stream. It was great to have a chat. Um, but anyway, as I say, lads and lads, lads and lads and lads and lassies, um, I am going to guess that's a Ukrainian name based on the flag, but I might be wrong. Myocarditis comes from the vax. I don't think so. Um, Myocarditis is an inflammation of the myocardia, which is in the heart, and that can happen for a lot of reasons. I had it after I had meningitis. It's actually very common post viral. Um, I mean, it may well be a side effect of the vax. That could quite possibly be the case. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that it can come from a lot of things. Also, my mother used to suffer terribly with high blood pressure, and it's really, really common from years of high blood pressure. So it could be a whole bunch of things. Could be a whole bunch of things, including the vax. It could be that too. Um, but we just don't know. She went from having COVID to developing that really, 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 really quickly. In fact, immediately afterwards. So, and she'd been vaccinated about a year ago, I would say. She was vaccinated very early on, so I would assume it would have happened much earlier if that was the case. Um, and my sister-in-law, who's a doctor, was pretty confident that it was directly related to not only having COVID, but then going through a horrifically stressful scenario, being that they had their bank accounts wiped out, which would have obviously would have put anybody's heart under pressure. So I think it's probably that. I mean, there might be some validity to what you're saying, generally speaking. Unfortunately, some people do get very sick from it. In fact, we have friends that have gotten quite sick from it. But for the most part, the vast majority of people that I know have had the vax and haven't had any issues that they're aware of or that I'm aware of. But yeah, anyway, I don't think it was that. But moving on. Yeah, long COVID seems to be a huge problem. Huge problem. It's horrifying, man. Horrifying. So all the athletes dropping with it are after they were vaxxed. But so is everybody else, though. Do you know what I mean? Like the vast majority of people have been vaccinated. I don't know anything about that, so I'm not going to really comment on it until I've read into it a bit more. I did hear about it though. I saw a video come up on something the other day where a guy was talking about some soccer players dropped and some other stuff. There, there was some reasoning behind it, but I don't know what the validity of it is. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I would need to look into it more. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, I definitely did see some stuff, but I'd need to look into it more basically. And it's not really after they were vaxxed, so it is what it is. I don't know, man. Like causation and correlation and all that kind of stuff. Like, I mean, if I crash my car this morning and I've been vaccinated, it's like, see, it only happened after he was vaxxed. You know what I mean? People get sick all the time from other shit. We can't put everything down to the same thing. So if we don't know, then you need to provide a bit more evidence to tell us exactly what it is. You know what I mean? And I mean no disrespect to you, but I'm not just going to take your word for it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh well, yeah, that's for sure. Like my parents were both vaccinated and they got it, so I'm definitely with you on that one, David. He says, I wish I could pronounce your name. I don't know how. He says, I'm not anti-vax, but I am for this one. And you know what? I know a lot of people that are. And that's the truth. I know a lot of people who feel the same way as you about that. And if I'm being truly honest with you, while I might not agree 100% with you on that, or I might not be, I might not have the same view as you on that matter, I would say that I can see why people feel that way. Um, I can definitely understand people's feelings on it. Like the how fast it was made and all that stuff. I get it. I get it. But hey, man, I've been jabbed with so many different things over the years. It's just one more to me at this point. You know what I mean? Like when I was working in the courts and doing all that stuff, I had to get so many different vaccinations and different meds. I was a nightmare. It was a pain in the ass. Literally pain in the ass. Like literally jabbed me in the ass at one of them, made my leg go dead. Um, and I've been perfectly fine all this time. You know what I mean? Never had any kind of side effects or anything like from I don't know what that was. That just happens from time to time. Ever since I got that, no, I'm just fucking with it. Um, but yeah, no, as I say, I kind of understand, but at the same time, it's like, what you gonna do? You know what I mean? But I do think it should be up to people to decide for themselves, though. We had this argument today, myself, and my sister-in-law. Um, but actually, I'm gonna talk to her. I've got to get her on the stream one day and talk about it because she's really interesting when it comes to medical kind of stuff. Um, Yep, literally jabbed me in the arse, Irish Demon 2021. Anyway, I've got to get out of here, lads and lassies. The plot hole is about to do a live stream. Johnny O, feel free to drop a link in the side chat. Um, People were forced in our history to do this before. Are you talking about there was one where they were forced to do it during the American War of Independence, I think, and that was only for soldiers because I heard that on a podcast that randomly came on the other day. I can't remember whose podcast it was or whatever, but some doctor was talking about how I think it was George Washington's men were forced to be vaccinated against something, but it was only for soldiers. But it'd be an interesting conversation for another time. I do have to go to bed. Mrs. Demon is awaiting. She won't go to sleep unless I'm there, and she'll kill me. Yeah, George Washington required his troops to be vaccinated. Yeah, I think that might be what you're talking about. I might be wrong on that. But yeah, I think it was only relevant to soldiers, and I think still soldiers have to get vaccinated if they're War of Independence sounds so much better than the Revolutionary War. I mean, hey, in Ireland we just call it the Troubles. So yeah. But anyway, lads and lassies, I'm getting tired as hell, and I will catch you all later. Thank you all so much for your support. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for everything. It's great to be back, and I look forward to doing more live streams and chatting with you guys and catching up with you guys. Make sure and hit the like button on your way out. Really appreciate it. Consider becoming a member or a Patreon. All that stuff helps an awful lot, especially at the moment. But again, thank you all so much, and we'll catch you for the next one. Head on over, check out Johnny O's stream. He's almost as good as me. I'm sure you'll love it. So anyway, have a good one, lads and lassies. Sláinte.